Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us and welcome to the Bob Simmons Show. Well, after a week off, the Cowboys return to action, this time playing host to the Northeast Louisiana Indians. The crowd was rocking and the Cowboys roll 38-7. And with me to talk about the game, the head coach of Cowboy football, Bob Simmons. And Coach, congratulations on another great performance.
Thanks, Paul. It was a good victory for us. We really wanted to try to come off this break that we had and play exceptional. And I thought we did that the first half. We came out and scored a quick 28 points, and then we took the second half, and it didn't play as well as I liked for it to play, but I'm pleased with the victory.
Well, we've got lots of first half highlights, so let's get to the action. Coach, I don't know what you're doing, but this is 4 games in a row that you all have won the coin toss, and that's got to beat some sort of record, but allowing the defense to set the tempo again, and again they answer and do a nice job.
Well, that defense has been playing exceptionally these last 4 weeks, and that's when we take the opportunity to put them on the field first and really try to get good field position, and we did that. Our defense did a good job of coming on, going 3 and out. You can see here that they tried to run the ball, then they come back with a pass, and our guys are just flying around to the football. And now we get them in a situation where it's 3rd and 2, and then you see Jamal Williams coming up with a big play, and that's 3 and out. And so if we can force them 3 and out on that first series and then get good field position, it gives our offense a chance to really go down and score.
A couple of new faces in the lineup this week, I know, because of injuries, and here we see some great special teams play. R.W. McCord really does it in every phase.
This is just the first of many returns that R.W. had tonight, and that's exceptional blocking at the point of attack. R.W. hits that corner and really does a good job. I think that's a 46-yard punt return. But what it does, though, it really sets our offense up to be in good position for that first drive. Nice block there, nice position block there, nice block by Chris Carter. We get the corner. As you will watch the film, as everybody is on a man, and all he does now is really take it up the sideline. That's what R.W. does best. I thought he was going to score here. One more block, and he does score.
Well, nice return, and he sets up the offense in great field position. We see Tony Lindsay at the helm here, and the offense goes to work at the 24-yard line.
Well, this is a nice inside run by Nathan. I think he got about 10 to 12 yards on that play, but good field position. We come back with our fullback. Our offensive line is doing a nice job up front blocking. Go back inside, 3 plays, and a touchdown.
Well, after great field position, we'll see Nathan Simmons here taking it the final 2 yards for the score. After great field position, Oklahoma State with their opening possession drives 24 yards in 4 plays, 1 minute, 21 seconds off the clock, and the Cowboys.
Fast, wasn't it?
It was fast. You like those kind of drives as an offensive lineman, but 7-0 lead later in the first quarter, and the defense back on the job.
Well, the defense that first half did an exceptional job harassing, and again, the biggest thing that we want to try to stop is the rush, and you see we got that extra guy down, and I think that was Andre Water did a nice job on an inside stunt. We got pressure coming off the corner here, force from Ricky Thompson, forces the guy to a bad play, which I think is illegal touching by the offense, which is an automatic 4th down, and forces them into a pooch punt situation. Then they end up kicking it out of the end zone, which gives us the ball down back on the 20-yard line.
Well, it didn't take them long to figure out they didn't want to kick it to R.W., but the offense taking over at the 20, and here we see Nathan going back to work.
A good run inside. One of the things we wanted, our challenge at offense, we hadn't had a back go over 100 yards in this ball game, and I think Nathan gained 106 yards, but that offensive line took the challenge and really blocked inside. You hear Nathan going inside for 4 and 5 yards at a time, and Tony Lindsay does a nice job of hitting Alonzo. They had a miscue in the secondary, and which allowed us to really get Alonzo open. He did a nice job of running with the ball after the catch.
Well, Coach, let me ask you, this team has played some tough competition, Georgia and Arkansas, and nobody had produced a 100-yard runner against them to this point. Of course, we did that yesterday.
That's right, and that's one of the things that we wanted to try to accomplish, and I think we gained a total of 274 yards in the rush. And this offense is one that's really got to be able to rush the football. As you can see, we came out and did this. Tony Lindsay running the option play, and he's got great quickness, great acceleration, makes a good decision and for a touchdown. That's good excitement by that young player.
Well, great athletic ability, and he's really showing that he's matured this year. For a second-year player, he's done a nice job at the helm, and here we see him taking it the final 25 yards into the end zone after a Seth Conley point after. It was a nine-play, 80-yard drive, 4 minutes and 6 seconds off the clock, and now the Cowboys up 14-0. And now later on in the second quarter, we'll see the defense back at the job.
Yeah, and this is a mistake on our part. There was a nice pump and go on their part, which could have led to a touchdown. But our defense rallied, and it really stopped them. And you can see right now we are playing pretty sharp offensively and defensively. We forced them back into a punt. We got a left return on here. RW does a nice job of fielding the ball and making people miss, going inside, outside, making the right cuts. You can see people are making good decisions by not clipping it. And now he's around the corner, and we think he's going to score. Here, I think he starts to slow down a little bit. Right there, he slowed down, and I think had he just burst to the end zone, he probably would have scored.
Now, was he tired, or was he just coasting that little bit?
Well, I think what he told me that he was waiting on a block, but had he just went ahead and exploded to the end zone, I think he'd have probably scored. The other point is that we had three blockers. We had two blockers to their one. And then we had a man pointing to the guy, but he never blocked him, which is
that was my favorite, the old point block. It wasn't as effective, but I'd point, Coach, I got that guy.
I got that guy. This is what we've been working on all week, Paul, to really make these special teams work for us. And I'm happy to see that there's right there pointing to the guy, but he didn't block him. Don't point to it. Go ahead and block him.
Not a very effective technique. And now, after the 82-yard punt return, we see Akins taking it the final yard in. But, Coach, as you mentioned a minute ago, great discipline by the special teams. A lot of juking and jiving by RW, reversing his field, and there were no clips, no blocks in the back.
And that's something that, Paul, we work on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday throughout the week, and try not to have penalties in the special team game. But that, like I said, that first half, the defense is playing well. We got 3 and 4 and 5 guys around them when they throw on the ball. This is Clint Metcalf, who had to start the ball game because he had an injury. We thought that he played well, and what they resorted to was just sprinting out. And this is a great interception by Kevin Williams. I thought he did a super job of running the route for the receiver. What that comes from, Paul, is studying film, and that's a great job. Get ball back on offense. Nathan's running inside. He's got to keep his feet. This is a quick play by Chris Alukia to our tight end, avoiding the sack here. And then we go back inside, running an option with Chris with a cast on his hand, which is not very smart though. But Chris did a good job of holding on to the ball. 4th and 1, we go inside forward. Nice tough run by Kevin Brown to keep that drive going. Back to Jamal, makes a nice cut, keeps his shoulder square to the goal line, and 19 yards for a touchdown. That's a nice drive for us. This is a great run.
Tremendous strength, and he seems to be running through tackles better as the season's going.
Boy, he is. He's an exceptionally good player for us, and both he and Nathan doing a good job running the ball. And here, we're 28-0 at halftime, and we feel good about what we've done. Now we're going into the halftime just to talk about it, making adjustments and coming out and really trying to be sharp at second half.
Well, a complete performance, as you mentioned, offensively, defensively, and also the special teams. Perhaps one of the best halves of football Oklahoma State's put together in all 3 phases.
Well, one of the things we talked about, Paul, is when you come off that break, we want to be sharp in all phases of the game, and I thought we accomplished that first half.
Well, we'll be back to take a look at the second half highlights after this timeout. Welcome back to the Bob Simmons Show. Coach, very impressive first half performance. I know as a player sometimes when you have a big lead, it's tough to come out fired up in the second half.
Well, that's the tough thing about it, Paul. You really want to come out and be sharp, and you talk about it in the locker room, but it's up to your players to come out and keep that intensity going. And I thought we came out the second half and took the ball down. I thought we were going to score, but we ended up throwing our first interception, which really was not a smart decision. But that defense came out and we had them pinned down in their own territory, and you can see our guys are really swarming to the ball, and we got them down inside their 5-yard line and really, again, forced a 3-and-out situation.
And they dipped into their bag of tricks, and an interesting play here, a fake.
Well, I tell you, this is very smart on their part. We had a spy guy with the guys punching the ball out. This is the spy guy, and he did a nice job of running down and punching that ball out because that was his man.
Well, it was, as we'll see right here, a fake punt. Clint Metcalf makes a nice recovery.
Yeah, nice recovery. We practice this during the course of the week, and Clint is good at punching the ball out. That's something that our defense practices in terms of causing turnovers. You can see he punched it right to RW, which really turned into a nice return.
It was designed that way.
Right.
Drew that up at halftime in the locker room. But nevertheless, Oklahoma State, after that strange play, takes over in great field position. Haluk at the QB and Nathan going back to work.
This is a nice, tough physical run, not going down, and I think he gains about 89 yards. And we're really trying to take this ball down inside. Got to keep his feet, though. If he keeps his feet, I think he's going to score. But that's a good 5 and 6 yard run. I think he gets about 4 yards here. Offensive line does a nice job of getting off the ball. And this is a good call by Coach Miles to Alonzo Mays for the touchdown.
Well, Alonzo making his presence felt here. 8-yard touchdown pass from Aluka to Alonzo Mays. Alonzo on the night, 4 receptions for 42 yards and 1 touchdown. So the Cowboys take over after the great field position. March 23 yards in 5 plays. The PAT is good, and now the Pokes on top 35-0. And here, just before the end of the third quarter, as we go into the fourth, the defense making their presence felt again.
You know, the defense is really playing well and playing hard this whole ball game. They really wanted to try to get another W, a 0 shutout on the board. But, you know, starting this third quarter, we're playing a little bit sloppy. There's a lot of guys that were open that they didn't hit. Here's a good situation where guys, Courtney Mallory, who actually played an exceptional ball game with the sack, they really started kicking the ball away from us after that.
Good decision. Huh?
He just started kicking out of bounds. And then we go back on offense. This is a nice job. Now, this is ball security. Jamal did not put that ball away, and we talked about not having turnovers, but the defense comes up, responds well, goes back in and does a good job of holding them. This is a good throw and nice tackle by Alec Trent. Trent did a nice job all night long. This is a 4th and 4, 4th down stop. We force this guy into a scramble just before he gets to the yard marker. We thought that was a fumble, but we hold him down and get the ball back to our offense. And all we're doing right now is really trying to wind the clock down, trying to get some yardage. This is a nice run by Jamal Hard inside, running for those extra yards.
Offensive line continuing to take control, and here we see the option to Nathan around the right side.
Yeah, I thought we'd get more out of that play. 4th and 1. I think that was 4th and inches. It wasn't a hard call for us. We go back inside. Now we actually got our second team line in, and now we're playing. I think that's Dante Hill at tailback. He actually did a pretty nice job. He's running hard. They got their subs in. We got ours in. Dante's running hard inside. This is a nice inside run. This is a 49-yard field goal by Tim Sitness, which is a real long and good job by Tim knocking it through for us.
Well, the Cowboys win.
That was a good victory. 4-0. 4-0. That's important that we're 4-0 going into next week.
Sure enough, I had a couple of runs, couple of returns for a lot of yards, but I think you owe it to the guys up front because they the ones that made this happen also.
Our line really got off the ball, and they're playing with intensity. We got a senior captain, Henson, who's just blowing people up, and really leading the team out there. And I thank the Lord for letting me be the first man to go over 100 yards against this team.
Well, Coach, I think most of us expected, or had hoped and expected to be 4-0 at this point in the season, and we are, accomplished that goal. Now, how would you assess the performance of the team at this point?
Well, it's like I said, I thought that we're 4-0 and we're happy to be there. We played good football during the last of these 4 weeks, and we were just looking forward to the challenge of now going back into the Big 12 Conference.
Well, we'll be back with more after this on The Bob Simmons Show.
Cowboy Rewind brought to you by Farm Credit. For Ag, for Life.
Welcome back to The Bob Simmons Show. This year we have a new feature on The Bob Simmons Show called Cowboy Rewind. Tonight, Tom Dorado will bring us up to date on a former Cowboy great, Matt Monger.
It's one of the most remarkable of the many success stories associated with Oklahoma State football. A 6'2", 185-pound fullback from Miami walks on. He's basically told he's too small and too slow to play on the Division I level. 11 years and 55 pounds later, he calls it quits after 7 seasons in the National Football League. In between, he becomes a 3-time All-Big 8 academic selection, an All-Big 8 linebacker, a member of 2 OSU Bowl teams, and the Cowboys' all-time single-season tackle leader. Matt Monger, welcome to the show, and I know you probably get tired of hearing this story, but it still has a pretty solid message, I would think. Good things indeed come to those who are persistent and to those willing to work hard.
Tom, I really appreciate that. Let me tell you, I truly believe that when there is faith in the future, there's power in the present, and that's how I try to live my life, is that hard work, desire, and having faith in the outcome prior to it being there will get you there every time.
Bring us up to date a little bit on Matt Monger since you left the NFL.
Oh, since I left the NFL, well, while I was in the NFL, I went back to Oklahoma State to finish up my MBA. That took my first 3 off seasons. Once I completed that, I still had 6 months during the off season. You're only playing in the NFL from basically August to January, hopefully through most of January if you're lucky. And so the off season, you have some spare time. It's usually used on the golf course, but in my case, I decided that I knew the direction I was heading. I knew that I would end up in the financial markets, and so I went to went to work with Merrill Lynch during my off seasons. And when I retired, I came back into my office full time.
Well, living and working over in Tulsa, you're still able to stay in touch with Cowboy football.
Oh, sure. Yeah, how can you not stay in touch with Cowboy football? And, you know, they've had a couple struggling years here recently, but looks like things are turning for the better, and there's some real excitement taking place down there in Stillwater. So, you know, the nice thing about OSU is that, you know, once you're a fan, you're always a fan, and I take pride in that. And, Tom, I bleed orange. You know that.
You've probably been part of most every defensive scheme ever devised, but I have to think you would have loved the current system we have here at OSU. You might have even had one or more career tackles along the way.
I don't know if my body needed anymore, but I would have loved to play at Oklahoma State in that scheme. It's exciting. I mean, if people are not watching, they need to sit up and take note. They need to watch what's taking place. It's an exciting scheme, and it frees some guys up to roam and really make some plays. So, yeah, I would have loved to play in that in college.
Well, Matt, what do you remember about playing at OSU?
Oh, gosh, Tom, I've got great OSU memories. You know, I can give you a textbook answer and tell you that it's being a most valuable player, defensive player in the Blue Bonnet Bowl, or playing in a Blue Bonnet in the Gator Bowl, or being on a 10-2 season, or All Big 8, or academic All-American honors, or I can give you all that. But I can tell you what's really in my heart, and in my heart is the excitement of being there in Lewis Field, running out there for the first time on the field and knowing that this is a dream come true, that, you know, I grew up a Cowboy fan. My parents went to Oklahoma State. They were Cowboy fans. Knowing that I was a part of a tradition, part of something that I was going to carry with me for the rest of my life. It's the fans. It's the people. The Oklahoma State people are different. And I think more than anything else that it's just being part of that. And I think that's what I really carry with me from my years at OSU.
Thanks for this visit, Matt, and we look forward to seeing you at one of these upcoming home games.
That sounds great. I'm always excited to go back there.
All right, buddy. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Paul, you and Matt probably can spin a few yarns at those O-Club get-togethers, right?
Tom, we sure can. We spent 4 years together as teammates, and we have a good time now reminiscing at O-Club functions and at retired NFL player functions. And, Coach, you need a strong contribution from your walk-on program to be a good football team.
Well, you do, Paul, and if you look at our program, we got about 30 kids that walked on, and if you look at who was playing, especially on some of our special teams, our two gunners, our two twins, the Ethan and Evan Howell, are walk-ons, and we got several guys on our kickoff team that are walk-ons, and they are very much a part of your football program.
Well, we'll be back to take a look at the Texas Longhorns after this timeout. Welcome back to the Bob Simmons Show. Well, Coach, this weekend you and the Cowboys put the 4-0 record on the line against the defending Big 12 champion Texas Longhorns, and they've got some great athletes. Can you tell me a little bit about what we should see?
Well, I tell you what, I've always thought Texas had great traditions, got a good program. They actually got James Brown coming back and Ricky Williams, who's a heck of a tailback. Here's Ricky Williams on the film. They call him Little Earl, and they call him that for a reason. Paul, he's an exceptional player. They're big up front. They got a massive offensive line. In this particular ball game, the UCLA ball game, they didn't play their best. UCLA came in and did a job on them. But Coach Makovic has done an excellent job down there, and they actually got a real good football team.
Well, one thing that's unusual this week, it's a television game, and the kickoff has been changed from 2 o'clock to 11:30, so you'll make sure and want to set your alarm, have that breakfast, and get to Stillwater, and we need to pack the house because this is a big, big game. And let's get a chance to take a look at the Big 12 standings as we talk about it. The 4th week of the 97 season is in the books. Man. First place in the South Division, the Oklahoma State Cowboys, 4-0 on the season, 1-0 in conference. A&M, Texas with a comeback last week against Rice. Oklahoma's even their record at 2-2.
Well, Oklahoma's, I didn't watch the game, but I heard they've played well. And, you know, A&M is off to a 3-0 record. So this is going to be a very interesting race in the Big 12.
And as we take a look at the Northern Division, Coach, Colorado, kind of a surprise this week, having a tough matchup. Excuse me, I'll spit it out in a minute with Wyoming.
Well, anytime you got in-state, Wyoming and Colorado, Wyoming being the underdog, really wanted to prove something. Went down to Boulder and actually had an opportunity to win that ball game. Fumbled towards the end, and anytime you turn the ball over, bad things happen.
Well, it was an exciting game. Colorado squeaked out the win, but want to remind you again, 11:30 kickoff this Saturday. Make plans to be there as we pack the house. The Texas Longhorns are coming to town. We thank you for joining us tonight and look forward to seeing you again next week on The Bob Simmons Show. Good night.